The basic red flag is that you become demoralized and maybe even start forgetting things that you need to do. You're just so overwhelmed, and that's the main red flag where you don't feel motivated anymore, but you keep pushing yourself because you ignore that and just keep going and going even without 100% of the will. But there's other red flags, or maybe you think, hey, I haven't called this friend in a while, and you feel funny about calling them because it's like, what if they're mad at me? What if they're not interested in being my friend anymore because we haven't talked in a while? That could be a sign. And I think it was the movie was called K-Pax, where the doctor was in the New York hospital, was so engrossed in his work but when he came home one day and his wife's telling him everything that's going on with the kids and with her and all, and she adds a line to prove that he's not paying attention. She said, oh, and then my head fell off, but I went to the doctors and they glued it back. They sewed it back on with dental floss.
This is True Voice Unfiltered, the podcast where raw truth meets real transformation. I'm your host, Daria Ann, ghostwriter, content strategist, and holistic health warrior. No, I'm not a doctor, nurse, nutritionist, or any kind of medical professional, and this show does not dispense medical advice. I'm just an informed patient sharing what I've learned on my own healing journey. I also interview accomplished authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, and functional medicine practitioners who are transforming lives. If you're ready to break free from the sick care system, reclaim your health, and transform your life, you're in the right place. Let's get unfiltered.
Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 49. Wow, hard to believe. I've almost made a full trip around the sun here with True Voice Unfiltered, which I launched last August of 2025. But today, in episode 49, I have a returning guest. His name is Frank Healy, and I brought him on back in episode 7 to talk about his book, Somatic Therapy. And he joins me today to talk about his latest book, Burnout Proof, a practical guide to protecting your energy, focus, and well-being. And I think we all need that in today's world. Let me tell you a little bit about Frank. Frank Healy has one of the rarest memory abilities in the world. You guys may know that Mary Lou Henner has what they call a super memory, the actress Mary Lou Henner. Well, Frank Healy has the same thing. He remembers every single day of his life since the age of 5. I cannot even imagine. Frank can recall the exact day of the week, the weather, major news events, and his personal experiences on any given date. In 2011, he became a research subject at the University of California, which identified him as one of only about 90 people worldwide with highly superior autobiographical memory. So that's the formal term for it. In addition to his extraordinary memory, Frank is a licensed professional counselor, life coach, and author of several books on healing your past. He specializes in helping people overcome emotional pain from trauma and teaches techniques to strengthen memory and resilience, blending his rare gift with professional expertise to inspire lasting transformation. I think you're really going to enjoy this episode with Frank Healy. Burnout Proof is available. Right now it's available in Kindle as of this recording, soon to be available in paperback. And by the time I release this episode, it probably will be available in paperback. But I encourage you to purchase it and really make it part of your daily routine. Frank has included many exercises to help you incorporate some of the principles in the book, as he does with all of his books. And I think, especially in these crazy times that we're living in, we all need to learn how to be burnout proof, whether we're a professional, a homemaker, a student, whatever we're doing, whatever stage in life we're in, we can all benefit from Frank's book, Burnout Proof. So without further ado, let's welcome Frank Healy, author of Burnout Proof, to True Voice Unfiltered. Frank, welcome back to True Voice Unfiltered. I'm so happy to have you back.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here.
So Frank,
Again.
congratulations on yet another book, Burnout Proof. You're amazing.
Yes, I just keep putting them out as the ideas come. And, this might be sort of a condensed version of my book, Stress-Free Success. It's a short read for people who don't have a lot of time to read and can just look at the exercises and look at what it can help them with.
Awesome. Well, Frank, I want to back up for a minute and ask you though, because you've spent decades helping other people recover and heal. So, have you yourself ever experienced burnout? And if you did, what did that look like for you? And what were the warning signs?
Well, back in the mid 90s, early and mid 90s, I was, at least on paper, the director of a psychiatric hospitalization program in Northeast Philadelphia. But in reality, I was the deputy director's pawn. He told me everything to do. And I was just, I mean, the signs were it was harder and harder to get up and go to work and harder to be there. And it was just I was gaining a lot of weight from eating out of frustration. In fact, to really give you an idea of how much it burned me out, I quit in June of '95 and then spent the summer away from working up in this retreat center in the Berkshires in Massachusetts to sort of get myself together again.
Oh, good for you. My God, I think so many of us can relate to that story. I mean, I can relate. I've had jobs that were like that myself, and man, it's just, yeah. I mean, talk about burnout. I can totally relate to that. Which is why I'm happy now to be on my own, doing my own thing.
Oh,
So
yes.
that's great though, Frank, because it makes you so relatable to your readers and to your patients. But I think a lot of people, to me, what you just described is truly is burnout. But I think a lot of people confuse burnout with stress and maybe other things. So, what is the biggest misconception about burnout, and what do people really need to understand? Like, what is it exactly, and what should they be looking for?
Well, it's a combination of maybe you're getting demoralized, like, it's harder and harder to, go to work. It's, you know, a not so movie-like version of Groundhog Day. It's just every day seems like the same darn thing, and,
Yeah.
you don't see you stop seeing yourself as going anywhere, and maybe you might even feel like, your life's losing meaning. And so it's hard. I mean, stress is where you feel tense and uptight and you feel overwhelmed. Burnout is more like demoralized, unmotivated.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us we're in this culture where it's like hard work, hard work, hard work, suck it up, buttercup kind of things. Don't be
Oh,
a
yeah.
snowflake, right? But there's a fine line. I think everybody should be treated with respect in pretty much every situation, especially work. But I think do you find that a lot of your patients that come to you, they feel like they can't leave the job, even if it is demoralizing, because obviously we all have to make a living. So there's extra stress there, especially if they have a family. Like, what would you say to somebody who is really feeling demoralized at work? I mean, is it just, leave and find another job, or is there ever a way to resolve things? Like, how do you help people navigate that?
Well, if someone in that particular situation, the first thing I would do is work on their beliefs, like what they think. If they think they have to stay at that job, maybe there's opportunities that they haven't heard of and haven't had time to look for. And so I would really work on their negative thinking patterns because some people negative thinking has become so habitual that it's almost subconscious for them, and they have to really work on helping them believe that better things are possible. Like when I was in that place, my first thoughts were, I went and earned my master's degree for this circus, and then, but eventually I really came to belief. I started going to self-help seminars and believing that, yeah, there is a better life for me when I can find it, and somewhere where I can feel fulfilled in my work and fulfilled in my everyday life, and so for I'd work on their beliefs, and then I'd work on some things that they could do while they're still in the job before they found something else, like take time to relax, maybe watch a good movie, listen to music, watch some funny YouTube videos and stuff.
Yeah.
Anything to rejuvenate. I mean, take a walk in the park, or if they're near the beach, like I am near the beach, and I think you are too near the beach.
Yes.
And
Love the beach.
yeah, so to do things rejuvenate themselves. And, even if you break down the word recreation, creation, you sort of recreate
Yeah, that's good
yourself.
too. Yeah,
So, those are some things they could do in the meantime. And meanwhile, and I understand that, and I've been in this position too, where it can be so busy that you even have to schedule your fun and leisure time to
yeah.
work it in. Otherwise, it'll go by the wayside if you're really busy.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Now, I know your book, Burnout Proof, speaks directly to high achievers. So, but why do high achievers, like these successful, driven people, why are they resistant to admitting they have burnout? And how do you help them with that?
Well, a lot of that is pride. Like, they want to achieve a lot, they want to be big, and admitting they were burnt out would, to them, that would feel like giving up. Where, and a lot of people don't realize, but I think my counseling profession has tried to make this idea more public, that it's actually strength to admit your negative feelings, such as burnout, acknowledging everything rather than stuffing them in. And
Right.
I think that's really why some people even gain weight. This might sound a bit Freudian, but it's like, they hold so many feelings in that it's like they need more room for them. And then they
Yeah.
subconsciously eat a lot and gain more weight. Whereas, people who feel free and comfortable to express themselves, at least in the right situations, like when they're with friends and support people and supportive family members, they often, eh, have healthy habits too of taking care of themselves. And that's another sign of burnout too, when you stop taking care of your health.
Yeah.
Oh.
They just push, 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 just keep going. Right. Especially if they're a high achieving type of person, like that type A personality.
Yeah. And I think it becomes where the achievement is they become imbalanced. Like a popular term in the past, maybe 15, 20 years or so, work-life balance. But the people can tend to lose that, where their goals and ambitions, and they neglect family, they neglect social life, and they neglect their health. One of the things I
Yeah.
ask clients during the intake is, when was the last time you saw your family doctor? And some of them, it's been so long they don't even know.
Wow. That's
So
sad.
it is sad, yeah, because of course, Daria, I know you've written books on, a book on the more negative aspects of the healthcare system, but, even if your doctor is a holistic practitioner, if that helps you, go for it.
Absolutely. I recommend functional medicine because it looks at I think it incorporates the best of both worlds. But regardless, I agree with that. I think if you have, to me, your health is a foundation of everything. If you have your health, you can do anything. And it's sad that people neglect that. And I think that, especially, I don't want to get too off track, but we live in a toxic world, toxic environment. There's chemicals in the air, there's chemicals in the
Yeah,
food, and you
that's
really
right.
do need to to take care of your health first. And that would include, even like you said, getting outside, walking on the beach, maybe getting some form of exercise, whatever you like to do, whether it's riding a bike. Some people like to lift weights, Pilates. I think all of those things contribute to kind of helping with all of this. But you mentioned spotting warning signs right before burnout steals your health, speaking of health and relationships, because you just mentioned a little while ago, like sometimes people exclude their closest family members and their closest relationships in favor of pursuing their career or their work. What is one red flag that almost nobody recognizes for burnout? Is there, or are there a few red flags that people don't recognize before it's too late?
Well, I think the basic red flag is that you become demoralized and maybe even start forgetting things that you need to do. You're just, so overwhelmed, and that's the main red flag, where you don't feel motivated anymore. And but you keep pushing yourself because you ignore that, as you said, you ignore that and just keep going and going, and even 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 without 100% of the will. And but there's other red flags, or maybe you think, hey, I haven't called this friend in a while, and you feel funny about calling them because it's like, what if they're mad at me? What if they're not interested in being my friend anymore because we haven't talked in a while? That could be a sign. And if your family, I think of I think it was the movie was called K-Pax, where the doctor was in the New York hospital, was so engrossed in his work that when he came home one day and his wife's telling him everything that's going on with the kids and with her and all, and she adds a line to prove that he's not paying attention. She said, "Oh, and then my head fell off, but I went to the doctors and they glued it back. They sewed it back on with dental floss." And he said, "Oh, dental floss?" Where you're just out of touch with the
Totally missed it.
family.
Wow. No, that's true. And then, I mean, I don't know. I mean, this might be getting off track again too, but I mean, it could probably, is this one of the contributors to like divorce and families falling apart? Because it seems like eventually, if you're neglecting your relationships to that extent, especially a spouse and children, like you may get to a point if you don't do something about it where things sort of deteriorate. Have you seen that happen, Frank?
Yeah, so that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yes, that can I'm sorry, that could definitely happen where where you don't see the telltale signs coming. As a matter of fact, with all due respect to my friend, he's a mul whose son was getting married. He's a multimillionaire. He was CEO of a shredding machine company, and also had a massive tax accounting business. Mostly doctors and lawyers were his clients, and he lives in a house the size of a strip mall. But he had two divorces because he just wasn't paying attention, didn't give his wives enough attention. And and I have a cousin who he's with another lady now, but his wife divorced him when he just wasn't home enough, always on business trips. And
Wow.
for about a year he tried to do better with that, but I mean, it works both ways, but she said it wasn't enough. So people really gotta, you know, juggle everything, and they benefit from that too. I mean, don't if your life's going this way, don't look at it as just one more thing you have to do. Look at it as balancing things out in a way that'll make your life happier and more fulfilling.
Yeah. And I know that you have exercises in the book to help people start to improve their relationships and improve, sort of restore this balance, recreate, as you said, Frank. So
Yeah.
I really want to encourage everybody to, it's called Burnout Proof. It is available as we speak on Amazon, right now on Kindle, soon to be
Yes,
paperback.
it's on Kindle now, and it's
Yeah.
maybe in the next couple weeks it'll be available in paperback too. So
And definitely by the time I release this episode, it will be. So
okay, good.
definitely check it out, people. But I also want to mention that just getting back to the physical aspect of things, Frank, like, we hear a lot about sleep now, and it is so restorative and incredibly important. And I would imagine that people that have burnout probably are not prioritizing sleep. So I wanted to ask you about that. And what are some more physical signs? I mean, I can definitely relate to the emotional eating that you mentioned earlier, for
Yeah.
sure. Are there other physical signs, and how do you feel about sleep too?
Yes, well, sleep is really important because of all that goes on, all the communications in the brain that go on. Although they can't prove in a laboratory what dreams absolutely mean, I mean, they everyone's pretty much concluded that they're a restorative function. They say your first dreams are rehashes of your day, but then your later dreams, later in the night, especially the ones you remember that happen right before you wake up, they're uh, they're all about integrating things like things in your mind. Like maybe you might have a dream about something you haven't paid attention to in a while, or so REM sleep is
Thing.
real important. And in fact, they've done experiments on depriving people of REM sleep, where you have your dreams, rapid eye movement, and they found that after a few days they were hallucinating and just went completely. But then a 9 hour sleep when they let them go restored them back to healthy and normal. So
Amazing. Well, that certainly exemplifies the importance of sleep.
yes, that's it. And I think some people, I mean, My wife gets a little jealous of me sometimes because I sleep much better than her. But it's like on occasional night when maybe I didn't get much sleep, the next day I used to delude myself in thinking, I'll just have to drink more coffee today. But that's not or I mean that doesn't help you. It might keep you awake longer, but if you don't have the sleep, you won't be as effective in doing whether it's work or anything else you do in a day. Won't be as effective. So it's really necessary. And I will add to that that, everything I'm talking about as far as cures and therapeutic things you can do, it's always best when you add a personal touch to it. Like some people might actually need 9 or 10 hours of sleep, but I do fine with 7 hours, and some people, I guess there's an average. They figured out the standard average is 8 hours, but see, whatever you need so that you're all right and function well when you get up.
Definitely. I can relate to that. 7 hours is good for me. If I get at least seven, I'm great. Yeah. Yeah, but I recognize that too. And that's that bio individuality that they talk a lot about in functional medicine. Everybody's a little bit
Yeah.
different, but whatever amount of restorative sleep is really going to help your body do what it needs to do, the things it can only do while you're sleeping. But Frank, I want to go back to you were talking about rewiring negative thinking patterns that keep people stuck in the stress spiral. What does that look like in practice, and how long does it realistically take? And I know this is probably gonna depend on the individual, but, like, give us a ballpark.
Well, I would say it depends on maybe if you devote some time each day to doing the exercises, maybe at least 15 minutes or preferably a half hour more, doing the exercises that I have in my book. And I'm not one of those writers who claim that there's a time of day that's best to do it. Do it when you feel you need it. And and I'd say within a couple weeks you'll notice a little change, and within a month you probably notice a big change in how you do. You might be, and a lot of times, like you could be doing the same things each day, but it feels different because you're feeling different about it because you took care of yourself.
Mhm. So it's I'm thinking it's more like consistency versus the time of day. I think as long as they're taking the time each day to do some of the exercise you recommend in the book. Is that
Yes, that's what I would say. Take a little time each day because even if you miss a day, I mean, people can sort of casually fall away from doing things that are helpful to them, and don't be one of those people. Do a little bit each day, and as I said a little bit ago, even if you need to schedule it into your day, do it.
exactly. That is such a great point. I mean, it sounds so simple, but definitely scheduling things. I think when you write stuff down, you stick to it. And you build it in and you say like from 10 a.m. to 10:30, I'm going to do this. And I think when you write it down, it reinforces that commitment. And
That's
just
right. I would say for most people, and that does help now. And I will say to prove the point, even with my exceptional memory, I still write things down at times. It's how.
right, because you've got that super memory going on.
Yeah,
So if even Frank is writing things down, everybody else can do it too.
that's right.
Just build that in. All right, so let's talk about boundaries because you talk about setting boundaries, which sounds simple in theory, right? But I think this is one of the things that's really hard for people, especially if you're a caregiver for a loved one who's maybe ill or is struggling in some way, or you have little kids. The guilt can feel overwhelming. What do you say to somebody who genuinely can't figure out how to establish boundaries without feeling guilty?
Well, as far as I think there's two sides to that coin. One is learning the actual actions and where and how to set boundaries, and often I'll use role plays for that with a client. And then the other side of the coin is doing the inner work, getting rid of the guilt. Like I will tell them that I've heard of studies that have shown, and with everything I know about psychology, I think this is pretty is spot on. That guilt doesn't really help you do better the next time. It's
Mm.
like it doesn't because you're still thinking and feeling about what you did wrong. The best thing to do if you if you do something that you don't feel good about, well, especially setting a boundary on someone because maybe they're asking you a favor, but you're just too tired that day. And couple things, maybe you could suggest somebody else that could do it for them, or you tell them, "Ah, come on, you could do this," if it's something they could. Or, you could tell them that it's, say, "I'm sorry, I just can't right now," and then tell yourself that people find ways to do things. I mean, if you can, are most people are better problem solvers than what they think they are, and they'll figure it out. Brain goes to work on it. And but I think there's another big factor there is the fear of not being liked and fear the person will be mad at them if they don't do it. People pleasers who I think a people pleaser needs to do some experiments in setting boundaries, and anybody who's worthwhile in their life, instead of cutting them out and saying, "Oh, you're no good anymore," or doing this guilt manipulation, "Oh, you're not nice anymore." They will respect that.
Mhm.
And anyone who doesn't, they should feel no guilt about cutting them out of their life.
Yeah, because that almost sounds like a codependency thing
Yeah.
or some kind of, like, coercion type of thing if they can't understand, like, somebody saying, "Hey, I can't do it. I need this time for me," or however they present it. Like, it
Yeah,
sounds like there's something more going on there if the person can't accept that.
that's it. If the person can't
Yeah.
accept that, then they're not a friend and they don't care about the person who's setting the boundary. They just care about getting their own needs met and taking advantage of them. And with codependency, I know that does sound codependent because the bottom line with codependency is the codependent only feels valuable when they're doing for others. And it's like they don't have any sense of self or healthy self esteem outside of that, taking care of people, and it's important. And so, from that perspective, I would say, hey, tell yourself you're still a good mom or dad, or you're still a good friend, even if you say no sometimes.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's probably hard for a lot of people. To work through that because I think it's tough. If you are a people pleaser, it's hard to break that habit.
Well, that's it. It is
Yeah.
very hard to break it because on the one hand, pep talking themselves out of the guilt is one part of it, but another part of it is finding ways to define themselves as a valuable person outside of the codependent relationship.
Right.
Uh,
Help people through that when you work with them, when you work with a patient one on one.
yes, I help. Yes, I help them work through that, and uh, as you said, it's hard for a lot of people, so it could take like many sessions to really work through that because it is so hard. And when you have a habit that's that ingrained, it's very easy to fall back into it. And sometimes just feels like less trouble to fall back into it and start doing for everybody again. But eventually, and one thing that's important part of self care that you don't hear much about because nobody can make $1 million on a product about this. But one thing is checking inwardly throughout the day, checking inside yourself and noticing how you feel. Like if you're starting to feel a little spent or burned out, do take a little break, take a mini vacation, even for 5 minutes, and take some breaths. Watch a funny video or tell yourself some positive things about yourself or your life.
For me, even just stepping outside and touching a tree leaf helps. Just standing out there, maybe feeling the sun and just it's very grounding just to like reconnect with nature, even if it's for 5 minutes or taking my dog for a walk,
Oh yeah.
just to break that pattern and recharge. And it only takes a couple minutes to accomplish that and feel better and come back. I mean, I often do it too. Like, I'm guilty sometimes of like just I gotta get something done and I'm at the computer and I just don't give myself a break and I've been setting boundaries with myself and the computer, like at a certain time, like I'm done. I'm shutting it down and I'm gonna get off the screen.
Good.
Cause that's another huge problem in this modern world we're living in is just all the screens that we're looking at all the time.
Yes, that's a thing. Like with I mean, looking at screens is or messing around on your phone is good if you need a little break from what you're doing, but it's not good. Like sometimes, of course, we all know the negative side of that. Kids don't develop social skills, and maybe some shy adults will use that hide behind a screen, literally. But
Yeah.
it's important too. I mean, I've counseled kids who said if it's a nice sunny day in the summer when they're not in school, but all they do is sit and inside and play video games all day, they're depressed by the end of the day. And I'll tell them, "Well, keep that in mind from now on. If it's a nice day, go outside too, play some ball, go swimming, things."
Yeah.
Because I
Ride your
mean,
bike. You know,
yeah, that's right. It's because I mean, after all, we Homo sapiens, we're still animals, so we need
yes.
the outdoors,
Yeah,
like all living
absolutely.
beings.
Yep. And, just being, again, in this functional medicine area, like I'm very into like getting 30 minutes of daylight or sunlight every day, for that circadian rhythm. So your brain, because I think just getting back to the screens, when you get too much blue light and it's late at night, your brain doesn't realize it's time to go to bed. And people have a hard time sleeping, which also contribute. We talked about sleep earlier, which also contributes to this sort of this downward spiral of affecting their health and their relationships. So I like that. I really just believe for me, like reconnecting with nature, even if it's for 5 minutes outside, just as like this recharge. And like you said, we are still animals, and we
Yeah.
haven't, our bodies still need that, regardless of all this new technology that we have. So it's a good reminder.
Yeah, well,
So,
that's right. It's kind of really well, if you wax philosophical about it, it's kind of a reminder of who we are. And
yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
yeah.
So getting back to recovery now, Frank, because a lot of people maybe can't quit their job or take like a 3 month sabbatical or just rebuild. Like, what does like walk me through what a realistic recovery might look like for somebody who's got to keep showing up, they got to keep their commitment. And I know we talked about a few things, but what are some things that you guide people through when they can't just say like I'm done, I'm taking 3 months off, see you later? Like,
Well, I would probably first guide them towards taking taking smaller times off, like maybe go for the whole weekend, leave all your stuff at the office, and don't look at it for a whole weekend. And then
I
like
like that.
doing it in smaller doses at first.
Yeah, do people have a hard time with that generally, do you find? Or is that, because are most people bringing their job home with them on the weekends? Do you find with the people you work with?
Yeah, some I would say not a lot of them do, but some of them do, and in fact, including some coworkers will bring it home over the weekend. And like I have in addition to my full time job counseling, I have a private office with an associates, but the the main therapist who oversees everything, all our work on our notes and treatment plans and everything. She I mean, she's trying hard to take weekends off, but I'll still get messages and calls once in a while on a Saturday or on a Sunday night. But because I mean, I know some people, it's like they have their idea in their head of what needs to be done, and they don't allow themselves to be happy and relaxed until everything is completed.
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
Again, like it goes back to we're in this culture that just glorifies the grind. Everything is grind, 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 and I'll sleep when I'm dead. I remember there was a very famous, I can't remember his name. There was a very famous baseball player who said that. It might have been a Philadelphia Philly like many years ago, Frank. God, I wish I could think of the guy's name. But basically, like I'll sleep when I'm dead. I mean, that's sort of the mentality that's so pervasive. Do you feel like we need to make a cultural shift before individuals can truly heal, or does it really just start with the person?
Well, a cultural shift would everybody would make help maybe help more people feel okay about it. But there's a personal touch to that too. Like some people, when they're feel like they def- if they define themselves by their work, and often that starts out when they're kids and they work hard as students to overcompensate for maybe a boy isn't athletic or maybe a girl isn't pretty, and so they
Yeah.
make up for it with achievement. And but I think those paradigms need to be revised when they're older. Like, hey, I'm okay even if I just go to the beach today, or I'm okay I if I turn down that promotion because if I take it, it'll mean I'll get to spend less time with my family, and it's okay. So if they can change that, that's okay. Because when people have personal reasons for workaholism, then you have to really deal with the person. I think the culture would, and for the people who just do whatever, sort of do whatever seems to be the in thing, then a cultural shift would help them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it just starts with the individual. Yeah, I agree. And then it could spread from there and hopefully we could transform. But
Yeah,
again,
that's
we
it.
still have I think, the message that you just relayed, if I could repeat that back, is just that you have the controls and regardless of what's going on and what the culture is dictating, you can make a different choice, a conscious choice as an individual. Like we still
Yes,
have that
that's
power.
it. Well, that's it. If they change, like, like I had wanted to live down the shore since I was 14 years old, and we started spending our summers in Sea Isle and New Jersey. And then but for years, even after college and being in the work world, I had this belief that the only kind of work you could find in that area is probably construction or tourism. And that wouldn't fit my degrees that I had. But I decided to challenge that belief after the retreat that I went on that I talked about earlier, you change all your beliefs, and so I sent away for to Trenton, the capital of New Jersey, for a manual of listing of human services agencies in the state, and I found, oh, they're all over the place, so I can go anywhere now.
I love it. That is a great story, a perfect example of what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's it.
So so now you, as you said, you live near the beach in New Jersey. So
That's right. It's
good.
Well, during the 12 years when I was down there before I got married, I was in a little bungalow in Ocean City which they have since demolished, and now it's this big house with a swimming pool even on the inside. And but I did that. Now my wife Janet and I are only about 15 minutes away, but my mother-in-law lives right on the bay in Stone Harbor, so that's our beach house now.
Very nice. Awesome. So, Frank, if someone is listening right now and they recognize themselves and everything you've been talking about, but they're overwhelmed and they don't know where to start, aside from getting the book, because I want everyone to get the book, Burnout Proof,
Yes.
but what can they start doing even before they get the book and start reading it? Is there one thing that they can start doing right now to turn this around?
Well, I think it's a combination of things sort of blended into one that I often tell my clients when you start to feel stressed or start to feel unmotivated or burnout, take some deep, slow breaths. And while you're taking the breaths, think about how you can reframe in your head the thoughts and the situation that you're in. Like, it's for instance, uh, I have so I have so many orders to process today. While I'm doing while I'm doing them, I'll be interrupted with phone calls all day. I just want to go home in the beginning of the day. And as far as breathing and thinking at the same time, we all think a lot faster than we talk. A few seconds of taking some deep breaths, you can come up with some reframes for your thoughts. Like, okay, I'll be Superman or woman today, and I'll just get all this done. Then when I go home, I'll watch uh, I'll watch my favorite sitcom, and then I'll take a hot bubble bath, and thinking of rewarding yourself in some way.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. That's a good reframe.
Yeah.
So, I want to ask you, Frank, and please forgive me if I'm going completely off the rails, but we hear a lot about like, and I listen to this too, like solfeggio frequencies and those megahertz frequencies. Do you ever encourage people to maybe like have things playing like in the background? to kind of, because a lot of these things sort of help with, supposedly help with the brain, um, maybe subconsciously.
Well, I've tried a couple of those, and I say it's a lot of a lot of very weird ambient sounds, but and it may work for some people. I think that might work for people like we all have a primary sense that we use more than others, and 80% of Americans are primarily visual. So for them, probably looking at a pleasant scene online or a picture could relax them while they do the skills. But for someone who's mostly auditory, like musicians, good speakers, oh, that's you, Daria.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have a hard time visualizing things. I don't know why in my head, but hearing, I don't know. Yeah, so
Well,
they do
that's
work for me.
yes. Well, I think yeah, I mean, I'm more auditory and more kinesthetic than I am visual too. So a lot of times I'll just imagine the sounds and how I would feel when
Yeah,
in a situation, and so I think it's a little misleading sometimes that they call it visualization because it could be auditization or kinesthesion, and so that's all. But for people who are primarily auditory, I would imagine that listening to those sounds could help them if they do it on a consistent basis.
yeah. No, I do it a lot when I'm just working and just you can barely even hear it. It's almost like white noise, but it's playing. Or there's a podcast I love called Reality Revolution with Brian Scott,
Okay.
and he has a lot of good affirmation. I also, I write things down, very much a journaler. Do you ever encourage your patients to like maybe write things down, like write out like how you want your day to go, kind of thing? Not just write like about what happened, but write about like proactively, write about it's going to be a great day, and or I'm grateful. Even like just come back to the moment and just think of things that they're thankful for. Do you ever recommend those types of practices?
Yes, I do recommend them. In fact, on most days, I'll start out with a journal where I'll list some things to be grateful for, and not just write frantically, but stop after each one and writing each one and feel the gratitude, and also how I'd like the day to go.
Yeah,
And
I think it's yeah, I think it's really helpful. I think it helps you realize that you do have control, and also you realize that you do have a lot of good things already, like to be grateful for. And I love that you stop and really think about it because I try to do that too.
yeah, it's really yeah, because that really then I mean, if you're just writing, it's not going to mean that much because it has to hit you emotionally. Like,
Yeah.
and sometimes it helps if you say it out loud, or if you also include maybe a statement of why you're grateful. And a lot of times, like for I know for me to feel grateful for something, it helps if I think of a giver, whether it's things Janet does for me, and thank God for a lot of things. I'm very devout in my Christian faith, and
Mhm.
so but whatever works for you. If you have something that you can, if you can think of a giver, that can really accelerate gratitude.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, Frank, how many books have you written now? Burnout Proof is, so I know you've written
I
many
it's
books.
I'll say it's somewhere in the 20s as far as how many
Woo!
books I've written.
Congratulations. Well, you are certainly scheduling that time in there because I know that you're busy. So you're scheduling a time for a book. Let me ask you, how did the process play out for Burnout Proof with you? Because I know you've got a lot of things on your plate. So do you set aside time
Yes.
each day? Like, how does that work?
Well, a lot of my writing, even when I first started writing, like 19 years ago, it was a lot of my ideas would pop into my head as I'm going about my daily business, or even if I'm taking a walk on the beach. And well, fortunately, my memory serves me that. I have to keep it in my head until I can be home and get it on Word or get it on paper or something. And then a lot of the writing came that way. My wife's been retired since 2019. She was a MRI CAT scan tech, and she's more of an owl, and I'm more of a lark. I'm more of an early person, so I have those
Me too.
couple hours in the morning when I'm alone, and so a lot of my writing happens. Actual putting it down happens then.
Awesome. That is awesome. Well, the book is called Burnout Proof. Encourage everyone to get it. Frank, where can people find you, connect with you? I'm going to put all of that in the show description, but I want you to share where they can connect with you online.
Okay, well, I have a website, Healy's Healing, and I need to contact my manager, who's also my stepson, about getting burnout proof on there. And also, I'm fine. I'm good about giving my personal email. It's H A, well, HEALYS. Then you repeat HEAL, Healy's Heal, and then the number one at msn.com. So Healy's Heal one at msn.com. Somebody pointed out to me years ago that I have the perfect last name for a healer. So, and it can
Yes, you
also
do.
get on emotional healing on Facebook. You can reach me there.
Is there any parting words, Frank? Anything you want to say before we end this interview today to anyone out there listening who is dealing with burnout right now?
Well, I think it's important to realize we can all achieve a balanced life because I think, like today, we've talked mostly about like if you're so busy working, you don't have time to take care of yourself. And there's other people who maybe they do all the meditations and they, the breathing and they take care of themselves, but then they get kind of complacent and don't work hard, and they might have a goal like, oh, this would be nice, but then they don't really take steps towards it. So I think it's what I'd like to say is you and all of us, we can all achieve a balanced life where, we take care of ourselves, enjoy our lives, and work hard for our
Yes.
goals. And
Great. I never thought about the flip side of that where you're so relaxed that you're not really like
yeah,
taking the steps you need to take. That's interesting. Yeah, we need to be in that middle ground, right? That balance.
that's right. That's it. Because I think, it's only been in the past 60 years or so that like meditation, relaxation has come into our Western culture
Yeah.
because, people first came to America and it was an untamed wild land. So we had to be work and progress oriented to develop it. Meanwhile, in India, even little kids in India can get into a meditative state
Yeah.
at the drop of a hat because they're more more invested that way. So I think achieving a balance is really the best way to live.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Frank, I know you're in New Jersey. Can you work remotely with people everywhere? How does that work if somebody wants to get in touch with you and they want some counseling?
Well, and to do telehealth, I'm in South Jersey and I have a lot of clients in Central and North Jersey who we just do telehealth with. Most insurances require that the client has to be physically in the state. Like, I could be in PA or Florida and see people, but, I have to be, you have to be in the state now. I think maybe I might look into there's some, maybe some documents that I could sign and get into, which will allow where I could see clients from other states too.
Okay, but right now they have to be in New Jersey
That's
is what you're
right.
am I understanding that? Okay, I just wanted to in case anyone was listening, so wanted to get that out there. But the good news is you've written many, many books
Yeah,
and they can go purchase your book online and get a good benefit of all of your wisdom, knowledge, and experience.
that's right.
So everybody go get Burnout Proof on Amazon in Kindle or paperback, whichever you prefer. And just start putting these things into practice. That's one thing I love, Frank, about your books is you don't just share information. Like at the end of every chapter, you give people practical steps based on whatever you're discussing in that chapter that they can start doing in their own life. So it's very practical.
Yes, well, my first writing coach I ever had, kind of this Dr. Rich Blahnik, he really emphasized that. He is a real type A person most of his life, but he learned how to, and his books are all about relaxing and taking care of yourself. He he said he really kind of beat it into my head that the readers need exercises that are simple and they can do right away and that help them. So I'm
Well,
glad you're giving me that feedback about that.
that's great advice. Well, I think otherwise, people can read something, but it's not really going to sink in or become a habit unless you give them steps to take to sort of incorporate that information into their life?
Well, that's it. Like among my many books, I have a self-help trilogy, Heal Your Memories, and those three books are a combination of exercises, mostly of a meditative nature, to heal the feelings and emotions from your past. But then they also have, each one has 12 to 15 mini stories of true stories of people who overcame some adversity but are now happy and thriving. So it's
Love it.
you can get both inspired hearing it and help yourself by reading those books.
That's wonderful. Yeah, and I love that you include the life stories because it shows other people that it's possible. Hey, if I read this case study, confidential case study that this person did it. It just reinforces the validity of what you're saying and the belief that the reader has, well, hey, if it worked on this person, it can work for me too. So I love that, Frank.
That's right. Yeah. So, and anyone whose problem is less than what they read about from those will definitely think that too. Hey,
Yeah.
if they can overcome real nasty bullying, rape on the streets, a career sidelining injury, then I can certainly overcome my stuff.
Yeah, amen. Well, Frank, I want to thank you for just not just for joining me today, but for all the good work you do in the world and all the people that you're
Thank
helping
you.
and all of your wonderful books.
Well, thank you. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Daria, too, and be on
Thank
your
you.
show. And I think my future plans include some books and some self-help videos on get geared toward different specific populations for burnout proof.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Now,
Yeah, because like
because
we said, it's not limit. I know I talked a lot about work, but it's not limited to people who work. It could be a caregiver, it could be a mom, a dad. Burnout
yeah,
affects
that's
all of
it. You
us,
know,
no matter
even
what we're doing. Yeah,
that's right. Even a single mom who's getting burned out, and I'm gonna write for healthcare workers and all different segments of the population and how they can avoid burnout.
I love it. I look forward to that, Frank.
Yes, it'll be yeah, that's right. That's what I'm focusing on right now, and I got the idea from this wonderful group of authors who we support each other, and there's a woman in there who you remind me of. Yeah,
Yes.
that's we really help each other
Yeah,
succeed.
it's true. I love that group, and shout out to Michelle Culp for creating
Yes,
these groups and giving us that space to really support each other. It's pretty amazing.
yes, it is.
Frank, thank you so much for joining me. Look forward to seeing all of your success and just, thanks for everything you do, all the good work that you do.
Yes, it's always a pleasure, and I like seeing the results too.
Yeah, me too. All right, take care. Thanks again.
Let's have a good day.
Hi, I'm Dr. Liz. I just want to tell you how amazing and easy it was to work with Daria on my book. You see, I've had a book for a while, been sitting on my desk, sitting on my computer. Maybe you might be able to relate to that. And I didn't know what to do, how to take it to the next step, how to make it look polished and edited and easy and useful for my readers. Met with Daria. We had some great conversations. She learned my voice, my goal, my style, and she was able to edit and give me feedback on how to make my message clearer, more focused, polished, and it worked. I have a book. In fact, I have a book and a workbook that she's edited for me and guided me along the pathway. So if you're maybe a little bit like me, that you have a book or you have an idea and you haven't known where to take it, how to take it to the next stage, reach out to Daria. She's a game changer and she's really easy to work with and takes great pride in her work as well. So join me in the publish author arena. Reach out to Daria. I'm Dr. Liz.